I am a registered sex offender. I put my dick inside a blender. For reference, the first two things I said, that's from a song called Subway Sexists. Look it up. It's this we just showed it to Jordan, and we found it at work. It's like this kid who's like, you gotta be like, couldn't be older than 14, 13, and he just does the fucking most heinous rap I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, don't watch it in front of your kids like our boss did with that one episode of Synapse Misfire.
Oh yeah, the one time that we specifically are like, yeah, this is very vulgar, and then he was like, hey, 5-year-old, look at this.
Yeah, that wasn't the greatest idea.
You're sorted.
I want some water first.
I don't know. Sorted?
Okay.
I don't know if I would necessarily classify myself as sorted.
What would you classify yourself as right now?
Hungry and excited for whatever.
I'd classify him as a fucking idiot, but that's just me.
No, maybe you don't get invited to the barbecue place.
Okay. I'll go anyway.
I don't even know what it's called.
I'll find it. I'll just search up barbecue in maps until I'll go to every single place that's labeled as barbecue in maps.
He said, we're the world famous Chris and Jordan here.
Yeah. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What's that face for? What happened?
I'm just preparing.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to stop. You good?
Yeah.
I guess. If you want to interrupt.
Interrupt by doing the intro to my own show?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome.
Jesus.
The 97th installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our co-host, Jordan, and our sometimes co-host, Alex.
One of these days, I'm going to do this without looking and fucking jab him right in the eye.
And do this, and it's going to hit that unsealed soft spot that he's got. It's going to go right into his brain and kill him.
He's going to go Red Dead Limp mode like we talked about. Pretty much.
He's going to go Cro-Magnon mode.
Yeah.
Madden mode. But let's kick it off with the formalities. Let's try to do the show like we should do every episode, but we don't do every episode because we
synced the audio though, right?
Fiends. We didn't.
Yeah. I thought we did.
I don't think we did.
I think you did.
Just do it again for good measure.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
So, as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, my app of choice, as you know, and the RSS feed linked below. It's also YouTube. Got the video platform. The video platform is also on Spotify, so check us out there. And email us comments, questions, concerns, and death threats to synapsemisfire@pm.me. We also have a YouTube comment section and Instagram, TikTok. We do shorts. And as I said last episode, there's going to probably be some teasers as to what's to come with those IRL videos we talked about.
Yeah, so we put together shorts because for a guy like Jordan, you couldn't put together a tall. So,
Damn.
I think I've made that joke before.
Probably,
but we could put together a long, you know?
Between the two of us, yeah.
Solid fucking 4.5
feet. 4.5 miles.
Miles.
Are we still talking about YouTube shorts?
4.5 astronomical units.
Light years.
Yeah.
God damn.
Those guys. Fucking Buzz Lightyear. Yeah. So.
It's also a unit of time, by the way.
What? No, light year. It's how fast light, or how far light goes in a year.
It's a measurement of distance.
You're the smart one, retard.
It's a measurement of distance,
yes.
brother.
That's why we measure distance between stars and light years.
I don't know. I'm being dumb.
I think you're a light year away from yourself right now. I think your brain is just like...
Yeah, you turn those lights on and it just
it's honestly,
killed all the brain cells in my brain.
Oh, it's like those EPROMs with the UV light. It just fucking
just
erased everything. You are no longer Alex. You're just some other guy.
I'm just nothing.
I mean, you were kind of nothing before.
I'm like a blank... Like, you just suck the brain out. There's a blank shell.
And you wish I'd suck you out.
I'm going home. I don't like this anymore. I don't like where this is going.
Okay.
Can we just start over? Can we just delete this and just start over?
No, this is all good stuff. Alex, you didn't add shit to the notes, so we gotta fill it in
I don't
somehow.
have shit.
Again,
we did it last time. We recorded this on a Sunday, so that weekend was already done. And then last weekend I didn't do anything, so I don't have anything.
So much happened on Sunday.
The four goddamn days, and I'm gonna sit and just fucking melt into my chair for 4 days.
Alex goes to work, right? He shows up at work. He does his thing throughout the day. He's pretty normal. He goes home and he just fucking plugs himself into a power outlet and just sits there and fucking reboots until the following morning. Next morning comes up and he gets up.
By the time I get home and eat and everything, it's like 6 p.m. What the fuck am I gonna do?
I don't know, beat your meat or something. At least tell us about that.
I'm not gonna tell you about that.
Yeah. Hey, have you beaten your meat recently?
That's not information you need to know. I'm doing it right now, actually, if you really want to know.
Oh, this episode's off to a powerful start, man.
You know what I did last weekend?
Beat your meat.
What did you do, Chris?
Well, yeah, but instead of just melting into my chair, he asked me to talk about it. So, friend of the show, Ultra Ninja Master, he comments all the time.
Isn't it Ultra? Didn't he forget the L?
I think so, yeah, because I think there was a character limit, is how he explained it to me. So he reached out to me. He said, "Hey, my alternator shit itself. Do you want to help me?" And I fuck it, I guess. So, so he has a CRV, and to get to the alternator, there's the alternator, and right on top of it is the power steering pump, and it's, 4 bolts total, 2 on the steering pump and 2 on the alternator. And basically, I went over, and he had already gotten the top bolt on the power steering pump off. And we spent an hour and a half just trying to get this second bolt off because it's obscured under a bunch of shit. And we couldn't get it off, and I just left.
Very eventful, huh?
So, yeah, that's what happened. He eventually did get it off, and it was, completely rounded out.
Yeah.
Because it's obstructed behind the actual pulley, number one, and, you have to really, get your wrench down in there, and there's not a lot of room to move or work. So if you know what you're doing and it's you've done this before, it's easier, but we didn't. So I imagine if you do them every day, it's probably a lot simpler. So we ended up we would catch the bolt for half a second and the wrench would slip off or something. So it's all rounded off, and he eventually got it fixed. Yeah. But yeah, that happened. That was fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty frustrating, to be fair. It's pretty fucking whack.
Oh, speaking of car work, we could talk about what
we did today.
What we did today to your car. That's something you could talk about if you would take the initiative and put it on your notes.
Nah.
Imagine if Alex showed up and committed any sort of his time and his effort.
Or money to this show. Give us your money.
Yeah, I'm just the optional guest.
Give us your all.
You're not
give us all
shit.
your money.
You
right
can
now.
take the fucking shit out my ass is what you can do. I'm not giving you
You're
anything.
the sometimes co-host because we specifically offered you a position to be on here every time, and you were like, maybe.
Maybe.
Give me your money.
No.
Weird.
All of it.
It's weird. He shows up when he needs car work done.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Hey, I offered. You could have said no.
I could have.
Yeah, you could have said no.
I could have.
What kind of host would that be?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have given a shit.
Well, I don't give a shit about you.
Okay.
Next time, I'm gonna throw a bunch of quarters into your engine.
All right, I'm gonna shoot you in the kneecaps and leave you to bleed out and die in the middle of the street. Then,
bruh.
It won't take too long. Femoral artery will take care of it.
So basically, what did we do today, Alex?
I needed a tire rotation and an oil change.
And you wanted to check your brakes.
Yes.
And you got your air filter.
Yes, that we didn't plan on doing, but I said, screw it, let's just take a look. And there were a few leaves in there.
Yeah,
the filter still looked pretty good.
Well,
there's just some leaves. Yeah.
The intake side was pretty clean, but the actual where the air comes into it to the filter itself was dirty as fuck.
Yeah, it looked like shit.
I don't think it looked that bad.
I mean, it just had a bunch of shit in there.
Yeah.
And it's like...
It definitely needed to be cleaned.
It needed to be cleaned at the very least, and the filter with that deal that we got at AutoZone was $4,
Yeah,
you said, Jordan.
yeah,
So,
whatever.
Yeah, we were going to
Who
go
gives
to
a
an
shit?
And
O'Reilly's
it's 2
nearby, but I
seconds.
remember that AutoZone does this weird deal. How they do it, I don't know, but it's just here's a free oil filter, and Alex's case does his Elantra so fucking fancy. They're here's $4 for the filter.
Yeah.
the free air filter. You
Yeah.
said oil filter.
Oh yeah, sorry, air filter.
Yeah, so they give you $15 off, which is usually makes it $0 if you have a normal car, or $4 if you have an Elantra.
I don't know why.
And then when you ask
I'm
them about the Elantra, they're like, "Oh, do you have this model,
Yeah,
that model,
yeah.
this model, that
It's
model, this model, that
ridiculous.
model?" And you're like,
And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't even know what the hell this thing is, and I drive it.
I just, I get in and it's got a motor and wheels and I just drive it.
That's all
I
I
was
need.
waiting for Alex to say something like that. Like, well, I have 4 wheels.
No, I'm not that dumb.
Say that, and I was like, oh man,
Not that dumb.
I also checked my air filter.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
That almost completely left my mind. I checked my air filter because I had mentioned this before that my car actually has half of the Cobb Stage 1 kit. So when you order the kit from Cobb, there's a motor mount, a rear motor mount, and a performance air filter, like a high flow air filter, and the motor mount's already there.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, is the air filter there? And shit, it's money that I saved. So I was gonna check it the other day, and I opened my hood, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. You know how every vehicle, almost every single vehicle, when you want to look at the air filter, there's 4 little retaining clips.
In the case of mine, it's what it was too.
Yeah, 4 little retaining clips. Every vehicle I've ever owned has had that. Even my Volkswagen, ridiculously complicated vehicles, just...
Yep.
air filter.
Yeah, and you know how it is on my Fiesta ST? There's 4 screws holding it together, and all the screws are Torx. They're not even Phillips. They're not flatheads. They're fucking Torx, so you need the special set of bits to get at them anyway.
It would have been even funnier if they were security bits. That would have put the icing
on
that cake.
Come on, man.
Security bits, and they plastic welded it shut, so you have to break the plastic to get it open.
break. It's a one-time use assembly.
Yeah.
Given how manufacturers are, I would not be surprised if that was the case on a lot of newer cars. Yeah. I know Mercedes makes a new electric car. I think it's Mercedes, where they I think you void your warranty if you open the hood. They don't tell you you can open it. They specifically tell you not to. And the hood latch is obscured. It's behind a door that you have to unscrew. And they say you can't open the hood, but like if I'm paying for this $80,000 car, I'm gonna open the fucking hood.
Yeah.
So
don't open the hood. There's like a fucking child.
And it's
in there.
also you unscrew it and you open it, and it's like, how the fuck are they gonna tell you did that?
Knowing them, there's probably a sensor on the hood latch.
That's a fucking selfie.
Yeah. So then you do that. Yeah, it's got like a comedic like old time camera flash. So it's like you go like this, and you get like flash banged. But yeah, they tell you not to open the hood, and it's actually comedically easy to do so. But still, kind of a shitty move, but unsurprising from a modern auto manufacturer.
And if I remember with that, maybe that one or a different car, they put the washer, the fill reservoir on the outside.
The windshield wiper fluid is on the outside in a separate reservoir. There's a separate little access door, so you don't have to open the hood to do it. But like also, that's not the only fluid in your car. Like if you want to do any sort of different fluid, you just have to take it to a dealership, which is fucking scummy.
That's what they want, yeah.
Exactly. That's why they do it.
Yeah. So
fucking scum.
I just want to see things that are meant to be repaired, but unfortunately you don't see that very often.
Well, New York just passed a right to repair thing actually for electronics.
Well, we should just do that federally, honestly. But, it should be like a countrywide right to repair, where you can, everything that exists that is, typically serviced, I would say that would be expensive electronics. That's computers, phones, tablets, TVs, things that are very expensive and regularly serviced, cars, anything like that, should have the full breakdown. You get, manuals and parts are available, and there's no qualms about repairing things, and they should make it simple enough to repair, because the layout on certain things on a lot of vehicles and just in general is they make it specifically very, very, very difficult to repair.
They purposely make it difficult.
Like any modern phone, you're not going to get into that thing without the fucking jaws of life.
A heat gun, some pliers, some cutters, everything, man.
And then now they make all the back panels out of glass, so if you just even slightly kink it when it's not ready to lift up, you shatter the whole back panel. Yeah. And that's $500.
So basically what you got to do is you have to buy the back glass and then just do that while you're in there.
Yeah.
All this money for one little piece of glass. It's ridiculous. Probably cost them nothing to make.
Well, it's like when Apple specifically was like, hey, our camera lens is sapphire. And people were like, really?
And it's not,
sapphire?
Really.
And then Jerry Reed made a video that was like, hey, it still scratches at a lower level than sapphire. Let's do a test. Oh, it's 1% sapphire. That's cool. Oh, to replace the lens cover with the back glass, it's $700. Nice.
Nice.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty epic.
Yeah.
I also like that the iPhone 13, I think, maybe the 12 started this, where I saw a guy, he got two of them, like the day they released, he got two of them, and his whole thing is he repairs phones. And he took, not even aftermarket displays, he took the two displays from the two phones and swapped them. And the phone doesn't like that.
They're all serialized.
Yeah, so
internally.
They make a machine, like a very sketchy looking Chinesium machine. You have to order it directly from like Alibaba. And it's this thing that has all these ports on it. And basically you can plug in the display, plug in the broken one, strip the serial from the broken one, and flash it onto the new display. And then it'll work. But this machine's like $1,000. And again, you can only get it from China, because I'm pretty sure it's just a guy who built them.
Well, he probably stole one from an Apple center. Is probably how he got it,
and then reverse engineered it
or something.
Probably exactly what he did.
That's crazy.
Because he it's just, I'm assuming a guy who stole one and then just reverse engineered it and builds them.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking crazy out here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's ridiculous. Like I don't get it. Like, just fucking stupid. Wait till they start doing that with PCs. It's gonna happen eventually.
Where it's like, hey, I'm gonna build my own PC, and they're like, okay, so you get this enclosure, your new case, and then we have this all-in-one PC kit, and it's just one big module that you put into the case and plug into a power supply. Oh, can you open this up? No, it's actually sealed.
The CPU's soldered to the board.
Yeah.
The CPU, the RAM, storage, the graphics, all soldered to one board, and then you plug it in, and it's sealed in a big foot-thick steel block.
Said, what about like a SATA SSD? Can I plug one in? Well, yeah, when you plug it in, it auto-solders itself.
Yeah, when you plug it in, it actually
it sucks itself into the computer through the cable.
Yeah, again, it comes back to the vacuum cable. It's like when you get your vacuum, you pull out the cable and then you push the button and it all sucks back in. It's like that. Yeah. Where you plug this SSD in, it goes and sucks it into the fucking into the computer, and you can't access it ever again.
Yep, and it's fucking gone.
And then they have just a number, like a phone number. It's like, hey, if something breaks, call us. And they go, you call them and you go, hey, my hard drive died, I think. And they go, you're fucked, idiot. And they hang up on you. Buy a new one. It's actually so the new one is $3,495, and actually it's gonna be $3,496 to fix it. So you're better off just getting a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I just need like one chip replaced. It's 35 cents.
Too bad.
No, that's not what I said. I said $3,496.
You heard me. Yeah, you heard me.
I did not stutter.
Yeah, that's fucking sad because that's how it's going. I was surprised with how easy like the PS5 made it to add storage, where it has an NVMe slot, and
or the Steam Deck.
You just you don't even you take out one screw. You just pop off the side panel, one screw, and I guess technically the second screw for the drive itself. That's it.
Yeah.
The Steam Deck, the Steam Deck is definitely a step in the right direction. Yeah. That's when shit is made to be repairable.
Steam Deck is so repairable that people have taken like 4 terabyte NVMe drives and cut them in half because the top half isn't actually used for anything besides heat dissipation. They've cut them in half and made custom rigs to actually just fit like a standard size NVMe into like a 1080. Crazy. What do they call it? 1180, whatever size it's called.
2280 or something like that.
2280. Yeah. They just fit it in that, and they just like cut it. They put like non-conductive tape over it, and they just And the Steam Deck's like, I got you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just the way that they go about it, and the way that they talk about servicing the Steam Deck and
iFixit already sells parts.
And like making it work is very it's very much right to repair sort of business.
Fun fact, you could actually buy a majority of the parts from iFixit to build your own Steam Deck for like $700. You can
$700
build your own Steam Deck. You're just missing a couple of they're critical pieces, so you can't logically do it.
Yeah.
But you can come pretty close to building.
I was gonna say, granted, if you have your reservation, you just do that. Because are the secondhand ones still selling for like $5,000 on eBay?
Probably.
Not like 5,000, but a lot. Yeah, they're like 3,000-4,000. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Just reservations too, right?
Some of them are just reservations. Yeah.
I genuinely I will never want a piece of technology so bad that I pay 10 times what it's worth.
Yeah.
To get it early.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Imagine if it's like, hey, Jordy, you want this Mustang, right? I'll sell it to you because this is the only one that we have right at the moment. But if you wait a few months, we'll have more. But this is the only one we have at the moment. Normally it's $50,000, but for you, only $1 million.
Yeah. Sounds like a steal to me.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But if you wait 3 months, you'll get it for $50,000.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you not just wait?
That's the way I look. I've waited so long for the Steam Deck that I'm like, if I even wanted or had the money to just blow on buying one right now, I wouldn't want to support a scalper. And I'm a month away from the minimum time that I can get it. So, whatever.
Yeah, it's just mine's supposed to...
At most, it's going to be like 3 more months.
Yeah, mine says July to September. And they're going out pretty quick.
Yeah.
From what I've been seeing. I can see that there's, what I had initially predicted, that the Steam Deck is going to be a good, positive gain on the Linux community. I've already seen, just looking at certain things, like, how do I do this for this? And a lot of people are asking for the Steam Deck specifically. So it's interesting to see how that's going to unfold now that the Steam Deck is actually getting out to people.
Yeah.
Because it is just a Linux-based computer.
Why do so many games not support Linux?
Because it was very niche for the longest time.
Yeah, it's not a lot of people use it.
But what is required to make it work? Is the thing that they're not putting in.
So a lot of the things that make it work are like DLL files, and a lot of them are closed source. And that's usually fine, but they have to essentially just be recompiled onto Linux. But what a service like Proton does is you launch the game, and when the game asks for one of these proprietary files or one of these files that's not supported, it gives it like a open sourced version of the file essentially. So it's just a different sort of file. It does the same thing.
It's just user made. That makes sense.
But there are games that just have that already built in.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's just kind of and for a big developer like a Rockstar or like a Ubisoft or someone, it's just not worth their time. Because 2% of the people buying their games are going to be using Linux in any form, other than like Android.
Right. Let's put it this way. Think about who has Steam Decks, right? Like how many are out there. I want to say it's probably around like 100,000, if not a little more. Last that I saw the numbers anyway. And the Steam Deck already accounts for 5% of the total Linux devices being used. So, according to the metric.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's just not a lot of people use Linux in general, but again, it doesn't particularly matter anymore because of something like Proton or Wine or what have you. That being said, the whatever wizardry they've used to make Red Dead 2 work, I could not make it work. I tried a lot of different things, and I got it to launch. It'll like the first initial loading bar will like show up, and the intro where it's like the gunshot where like it's like I think it's a shotgun. Yeah. So what happens is the first initial loading bar happens, and then you hear and the game crashes.
That's funny.
So that's where I bet. Apparently, it worked fine with older versions of the game, but I can't really downgrade. My problem is I had bought it through the Rockstar warehouse rather than through Steam. If I had bought it through Steam, it'd be fine.
Oh, yeah, you
Because you could go to a different version.
Or I could just use, for some reason, like Proton will work fine, but with Lutris, what I was using, you can't necessarily use Proton per se, and you can pick different versions of Proton. I was going to try to compile just a version of Proton to use, but the instructions to compile a usable, redistributable version of Proton were so far above my head that I was like, this is not worth it.
Yeah.
This is not worth it. It was like the terms and like programs and stuff you had to do, it was just like all way up here. It was very like ethereal. Like you have to be very advanced, either a very advanced hobbyist or a professional to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's meant for. It's like if you want to hack away at this yourself, and I'm not that kind of guy.
Right.
I just want things to like, do things. I'm willing to work around things, but like I don't want to, install this container environment and do this thing you barely understand, and then look at all this source code. It looks fine, I guess. And just, you have to do all this, and then you finally set it all up, and you get all this in place, and you go, okay, make install, or make redist for redistributable. And then it goes, okay, making failed.
Yeah.
Why did it fail? Oh, you need this package that they didn't tell you about. All right, cool. Making failed. Oh, you need this package, or you need to configure it for 25 minutes. Okay. Making failed. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I don't care. So I ended up just saying fuck it. So maybe you could get it to work if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
They used to include a redistributable version in older releases, but I guess they don't anymore.
Yeah. No, that made sense. Yeah, the Steam Deck is fucking awesome in that sense. Like, there's a lot of games that work that just like don't on typical Linux PCs.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm interested to see how they made them work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of that will come out because the whole thing is like a lot of their projects. I think even Steam, like the actual Steam launcher, is open sourced.
Yeah.
So you can just do whatever with it. Like I think if you go on GitHub, you can get the source code for Steam. But like you can get the source code for Proton. It's all open source.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how you get forks of like, Proton GE, which is a different version made by a different developer essentially, that works really well with some games that Proton doesn't really work well with.
Right, because they modified it to
Yeah.
better accommodate those.
Yeah.
No, that made sense. But all that talk of fucking, Linux and configuring files and getting shit to run just reminds me of why I like consoles so much sometimes. Where
That's a one and done kind of
where
thing.
it's like you just kind of go boop, and it just fucking starts and everything works.
It's the standard like 6-speed automatic transmission of video games.
Yeah.
It's like you put it in D and you hit one pedal and that's it basically.
Yeah.
I would say like PC, that's like your dual clutch. It's like a little more advanced, and it can be a little more advanced if you want it to be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And then Linux is like your manual transmission. It's like
With no stall.
you gotta
nothing.
learn how to use it. There's various degrees of like fallback. Like the distros that I typically use are like, yeah, this is pretty easy to like in terms of like Linux. But then there's like people who use like bone stock Arch, which I did for a while, or like bone stock like Gen 2 or like Linux from scratch. You're fucking nuts. You're off your rocker. You're
Right.
out of your gourd, especially with Gen 2, because it's like everything is compiled from source. So if you want to install a browser, great, you can download it. But you have to download the source code and then wait anywhere from 20 minutes, depending on the program, 20 minutes to 2 days to wait for it to compile.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I remember I tried installing Gen 2 on a VM just for like shits and giggles. I'm like, I want to see if I can get this to work. And there's this first initial compile with like all your system files. So like your actual bootloader and your kernel and a lot of other things that, to make it work. And I remember doing that in a VM at my old job because I had a lot of like sitting around doing nothing time.
Yeah.
So I hit enter and it starts compiling and I'm like, okay. And then I went on Reddit for like 3 fucking hours and I came back and it still was not even close to done. And
why the hell does it take so long?
Because you're compiling so much code, so much stuff. And it's each individual file and each individual thing needs to be compiled and like it's a whole mess. And I've had to compile stuff from scratch. It's very rare that I have to do it, but when I do, it's like, man, this sucks. I want to use my program now, not in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I've had stuff that's compiled. Like I compiled something once where I just let it go overnight and it still was not done.
Wow. Holy shit.
That's crazy.
So use something like Gentoo or Linux from scratch if you want to kill yourself. Use something like Arch if you want a bit of a challenge. And then if you don't want to worry about anything, use something like Mint or Manjaro. I would say Mint because it's more stable and it's less updates to worry about.
Right.
But
yeah. Yeah. They so the other thing too on the topic of lit Steam Deck consoles comparison, they had the Sony State of Play. I kind of talked like a little bit about it last episode where I mentioned the Resident Evil 4 remake. So they announced Resident Evil 4 being remastered from the ground up. They announced Resident Evil 8 getting VR support on the PlayStation, so people were like, yo, VR mommy milkers.
I was just going to say that. Jesus Christ. I was about to say VR Lady Dimitrescu.
Hell yeah.
I need this.
But think about that baby section.
I would be... I don't want to think about that. I would be a demon in that. I'd be like... I would be like... I'd sprint away. In real life, I would sprint
into a wall.
In real life, I would sprint, and because it's PSVR, it would I would get pulled back, or I would pull the console away. I'd be dragging the console around.
That would be the funniest thing.
That would be fucking hysterical. But no, but that specific game, like that would be pretty sick. But the fucking baby part and shit,
I'd shit myself. I shit myself playing that on my PC. Like, never mind. Fucking.
They're fucking crazy. But yeah, they announced that. They announced Resident Evil 4 getting some VR content. Possibly, I'm guessing, like, the Quest port of Resident Evil VR. Or 4 VR is what I'm guessing they're going to get. But why would they remake the game in all its beautiful graphics, right? And then put the old version into VR on there? They might just be making it again.
Who knows?
I don't fucking know. But they announced some pretty cool stuff. Number one was the fact that Spider-Man and Miles Morales are coming to PC. Which is pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
August, you'll be getting Spidey. And then, like, September-ish, you get Miles Morales. So that's going to be sick. That'll be one of my Steam Deck games that I play. Which will be a big waste of my time because I beat it 3 times. But it's okay.
3 times?
3 times. And with the third time was 100% playthrough. So.
You said Spider-Man and Miles Morales?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'll be playing Spider-Man again. I never played Miles Morales, but I will be playing Spider-Man again if it's coming to PC.
Yeah. It looks good, dude. In the trailer, they showed like it looked like it was in-game footage they were showing. It looked pretty fucking.
Like I played God of War again, and
that's the next thing, yeah.
Again, if you haven't played that game, it is fucking fantastic. It is such a good game.
I'm gonna be playing that on the Steam Deck as well.
Just the voice acting alone is phenomenal.
Yeah.
In that game, but it's interesting to see that more PlayStation shit is coming to PC. But
it's
like
a cool sign, to be honest.
The things that people have wanted to come to PC, i.e. Bloodborne, hasn't.
Come on, you're not making money on it anymore.
The game came out like 7 or 8 years ago now.
They would make more money if they re-released it.
If they re-released it on PC, I'd buy it again.
Uncharted's supposed to be coming to PC in a month or 2, I think.
Because they did Dark Souls remastered and Demon Souls remastered. If they did Bloodborne remastered and then put it on PC and like PS5,
right.
All I'm saying,
I don't know why they don't do
that'd be really neat.
They'd make a shit ton of money.
From nothing, too. Same discussion we had last time.
Yeah.
They'd make a lot of money from not nearly as much effort as building game from ground up.
Porting it is way easier than
from the ground up,
making
because making a game from the ground up, you got to write the whole fucking thing too, not just like make textures.
Not to mention like mocap, right? So if you're doing like mocap and say something like Spider-Man, you don't have to do that anymore. You have that. Like it's done.
You have those animations.
You
already.
just might need to mess with some code to like make it run on PC. That's it. And like change text prompts and stuff. Like instead of square, it's fucking F or whatever. Like whatever it's gonna be. So I don't know. They should do that. I kind of wish they would do it 1-to-1, but then I realized that it would defeat the whole reason I even have a PS5. Like I only have a PS5 for the PlayStation exclusives. But like I wonder what's next. I have a hunch, genuine hunch, because they released Uncharted or are releasing Uncharted for PC. They have Spider-Man, they have God of War. I think The Last of Us is next. Especially when the TV show comes out.
I would say that's a safe
for PC.
Oh, for PC.
I'd say that's a safe bet.
Because the show's coming out soon.
You reckon both of them or just two?
I think it will be the first one, if not both. I don't think it'll be just the second one. I think because it wouldn't make sense.
I agree.
Why the fuck would you just release the second one?
I never said it would make sense.
I think it will be the first one, if not both, and that's it.
For the same reason Red Dead 2 is on PC and Red Dead 1 isn't.
That was a huge generational difference, though. That's kind of the difference there. This isn't a generational difference. You can still get The Last of Us on PS4.
Yeah.
The thing that I would be interested in playing them both if they both came to PC.
Yeah.
So I never played the first one, and like as much as I do know about the second one, it's like I haven't played it myself, nor have I watched it really. So I'm like, what is all this frustration about? Because like I can only gauge so much from like how Jordan described it to me, or like how other people have described it to me, or how like I've heard about it on like podcasts and in videos and things. It's just something that's like, I don't have that experience, and I'm like, what is everyone so fucking angry about? Because the way I've always heard it described, it's very much like, oh, it's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really played them, and I never really had much want to play them. So I don't know what everyone's all riled up about.
Yeah. In terms of like
stupid crap,
animations and like gameplay, specifically like gameplay mechanics and like character movements and character actions and voice acting and storytelling, The Last of Us for its time and The Last of Us 2 currently rival Red Dead, like easily. Like very easily, the graphics and the actual physical mechanics behind The Last of Us 2 rival Red Dead 2. But Red Dead 2 is still the far superior game due to the fact that it has a fucking sprawling, lived-in open world. But in terms of like the gunplay and the movement, it's like 1-for-1 with just as realistic and accurate as Red Dead 2.
Red Dead 2 has got to be like, it's going to be an extremely difficult game to top by anyone.
I really don't know if they can.
Not just Rockstar. Like, I feel like they will at some point, but like, honestly, just by like, even if Rockstar managed to make another Red Dead game, I don't think it's going to be, necessarily to the caliber of Red Dead 2. And, it's just such a masterclass in writing. It's crazy how just in-depth the characters are. It's like, it feels like legitimately it feels like you're like friends with these people.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this person does not even exist. Like Arthur Morgan doesn't exist, but I feel like this connection to him.
No, I agree. Like I do feel like of any video game ever,
you do feel a connection to characters in games. It's like, and shows it's like kind of how writing works and making characters works. Like Kratos, I do feel a connection to like Kratos as a character.
But he's like the least grounded. Yeah.
But it's like, I couldn't picture Kratos as like my buddy though.
Yeah.
Like Arthur Morgan, as much as it is like a bit of a leap, it's a way less of a leap to picture me being buddies with like Arthur Morgan than it would be with like
with a god,
with fucking Kratos.
Yeah. No, the thing for me is like, I agree. Like I think to Arthur Morgan and I'm like, oh, that's a guy from history. Like,
like
he's
this could have been a guy.
Figure. And then I realize I'm like, wait a minute, no, he's not. Like,
or
he's
even
not real at all.
Even games that are like more grounded in reality, like GTA 5. It's like I don't feel a particularly strong connection to like Franklin or Michael or Trevor.
No. And they're still really well written.
And it's like I like these people as characters, but like,
that's what they are, characters.
But they just went the extra mile to make their characters feel alive in Red Dead 2.
You know what did blow my mind, by the way, the other day? I feel like I'm just a moron for not like realizing this sooner.
Probably.
But I was just thinking about Red Dead 2, and I was thinking about the antagonizing greet system, like where you look at a character and you make like a choice, and then Arthur kind of acts a certain way. And I was like, what other games have that? And then my brain fucking melted because I went, wait a minute, Bully had that.
Did they?
Bully was the first game that did that from Rockstar, because you would walk up to people and you could choose to bully them or you could choose to be friends with them.
Yeah, you're right.
And you would hit circle and he'd go, hey, you look stupid, and you'd antagonize him, or you'd hit like the thumbs up and you'd be like, hey, you look nice today. And it would completely change how the characters acted, and you could go, hey, you look nice today, and then you'd hit circle and he'd go, I'm just kidding, you look stupid today.
I mean, Red Dead has that too.
Exactly.
If you hit I think if you hit
Isn't it right on the D-pad or something? Or
no,
left?
if you hit greet, and then antagonize.
Oh, Red Dead 2. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It flips it. He plays it off.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so same thing as it's Red Dead 2 has that to the same extent.
Which is what blew my mind, because I was like, I forgot Bully had that.
Yeah.
Or like you could make someone feel better. If someone was upset, you could greet them and he would be like, hey, there's nothing to worry about, the same way that Arthur will. Like if someone's pissed, it changes to diffuse, and he's like, hey, calm down now, and they'll calm down. Or sometimes they'll just shoot you. But
sometimes with Red Dead 2, it's so much more satisfying to do that like greet antagonize combo, and I'm surprised more games don't have that.
Yeah. Well, it's always funny because in Red Dead, you'll see a guy and he'll be like, wow, you look strong for a loser. And you're like, damn, bro. Or he's like, you look strong for a sissy. And you're like, Arthur, what are you doing?
And if it's Red Dead 2, in that case, it's like, oh, this person, middle of the forest. I did that to someone because I thought I was gonna lasso them and I just shot them.
Nice.
Oh Jesus.
So
Yeah, it's crazy. I forgot Bully had that, and I was like, damn, Rockstar really did introduce that in their early games, and then this, like you can tell just from the way it's set up, even like with it being in the lower right hand corner of the screen and the little symbols that it gives, it's like directly like someone there went, what if we take that thing we did in Bully and make it like really good? And they fucking did it. Yeah. They made the best like character interaction system.
That is another crazy thing. The character interaction is like you can interact with anyone. Why don't more games have that? Like to an extent, a lot of games do, whereas you can interact with a lot of the NPCs.
But it's usually just the same
or
dialogue.
Most of the NPCs. It's either the same dialogue or like, because Rockstar games, there's so many fucking NPCs that it's like there is the same handful of dialogue, but it's attributed to certain groups of NPCs, but it's enough to be like, oh, that's, I've heard this same piece of dialogue like 5 times in the last 200 hours.
Well, it all comes down to money. It's a lot of money to do
That's true, but still, just being able to interact directly with all the NPCs would be super interesting.
At least to like say something, because like you look at like something like The Witcher, you can walk up and hit A or whatever to talk to them, and half the time if you have already talked to them, you'll hit the button and they'll just repeat their line.
Yeah, they'll just
like,
give
what a lovely day.
Some like generic line of dialogue,
and it's very like, oh, okay, But in Red Dead, like you could go up to anybody and antagonize, greet, like you can do anything.
Yeah,
and it's dynamic to who they are too. Like Arthur's not gonna call some like farmer guy like, oh, you're a preppy guy from the city. Like, he'll acknowledge the fact that this is like a worker. And then if you go to Saint Denis, where there's dudes in suits, he'll be like, oh, that's a nice suit you got there. Like, it's dynamic to who that character is. It's fucking incredible. Yeah. It's literally just incredible. And I do think more games should do that. I think we should get more of like a
he'll be like,
interaction.
So I can walk up to like any random person and he'll be like, hey, mister,
even
handsome face you have. It'd be a shame if I put a hole in it.
Yeah. That shit that he says, dude, is like, damn.
It's out of pocket. It's like, it's way out of pocket.
What's always funny is when you do the greet, or greet diffuse, whatever, and then you hit it with a greet at the end, because it'll be, nice face you have there. It'd be a shame if I put a hole in it. And then the guy's like, what'd you say? And he's like, I'm just messing with your partner.
And then you shoot him anyway.
And then you fucking put a hole in his face.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's fucking great. It is great. But yeah, I think more games should do that. Like, I know The Last of Us 2, since we were talking about that before, one of the most revolutionary systems they introduced was each character has a name. And each character knows the other character's names.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, though. So, how often are you like, how many characters are you interacting with?
I don't mean like a name in the story. I mean like people you're killing. You'll kill someone and their friend will see them die and go, "Oh my God, James!" And if you kill them and they're missing, after a couple laps of like their typical NPC walk, they'll go, "Hey, has anyone seen James?"
I know,
and then they'll all go into alert.
I know GTA had that to like some very, very minimal extent, where it's like, in some of the trailer parks, I know that this was a thing where if you like shoot one guy, there'll be a guy next to him that goes, "Oh my God, he just shot my buddy," or he shot my cousin, or something like that. And it's a very minimal extent, but yeah, that's extremely interesting.
So they have that, or like the Dodds as well. All the Dodds have names, so when you're sneaking around, if you end up killing one of the Dodds, they'll fucking like freak out about it. But it's cool because it made the combat harder in a way, because you couldn't just like do the typical game thing where you're sneaking in the bushes and like, come here, and then you fucking choke them out in a bush. Like, you do that, and then all of a sudden, like after a couple laps, they'll be like, "Where the fuck is Derek?"
Must have been the wind.
Yeah, like must have been the wind. Must have been my ass. Like,
yeah,
no,
it's you like hear someone like, and he goes, "Huh, that's a weird storm."
Oh, where he'll get shot by an arrow in the back of the head, like, "Oh shit,
my head
gotten stung by a bee there."
My head kind of hurty.
My favorite thing is I was playing Sniper Elite 5, which maybe I'll talk about, maybe I won't. But one of the funniest things was they do the takedowns, and a lot of them are just like, "Oh, he slit his throat." But there's like one specific takedown where you stab him in the chest, and you're trying to be sneaky, and you stab him, and he goes, "Oh!" You just walk up and you just shiv him.
Fuck.
Like, "Oh!" And then so you'll be behind a Nazi, and there's another Nazi in front of him, and you just stab him, and he's like, "Ah!"
And he doesn't hear him.
And you pull him into a bush, and his friend's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, Payday is kind of like that, where it's like you'll shoot someone or you'll melee someone in stealth, and they'll like screech.
Doesn't Skyrim do that too?
You'll think
snap
so.
someone like, "Ugh!"
and no one will notice. Or like sometimes if you break windows, they notice. But if you break it and no one hears it, when they notice a broken window, they won't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always cool when games do dynamic stuff like that though. Like you leave something behind them.
Yeah. It's it's just funny when you have something like that. It's like they make a very clear noise, or like they'll have the silent takedown that's like the least silent thing imaginable,
and no one.
I feel like Assassin's Creed had that a lot. Like in Valhalla, that was a lot.
Yeah, you have the suppressor like in a gun.
If you were doing stealth in like stealth stuff in Valhalla, if you took someone down, it was like incredibly violent and loud, and no one heard it.
You're in the hay cart, you stab this guy. First of all, he goes, "Ah!" Then you pull him in the cart, and it's like, the whole cart shifting like, around, and the hay is flying everywhere.
And it's like, "Hey, did you see Jerry get pulled in that fucking hay over there?"
Yeah, he's just doing what he's doing, man.
All right, well, shit, he must be off the fucking. What do they drink back in the Viking era?
Oh,
like
lead.
Lead.
He's off the lead, bro.
Yeah. But like even down to like the aerial assassinations, this 300-pound Viking jumps from the ceiling and stabs the guy in the neck, and they're like, "Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? What?"
Yeah, like that's fucking. It's
Their
crazy.
friend is like dying 6 feet behind them. Like, huh? Damn.
Not my problem.
Oh, shit. There's a wind howling, I guess.
Yeah,
there's some always, rain coming in. I don't know.
Red Dead 2, again, always talking back to it because it's literally, like you said, it's masterclass in everything it tries to do. But it did stealth takedowns like better than any game too. Like, stab them like right in the neck, and your hand will, and then they'll just fall instead of being like, "Oh my God," as they die. as they fly away. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. More games need to maybe take it a little more seriously, but...
Well, we're talking about very good, very high quality, perhaps high fidelity games that are very well done, very well put together. I want to talk about a genre of games that's not very well put together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
There's this classification of games that I've noticed and I've dubbed it here on the notes as lo-fi games, where they're low fidelity, but they're fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So I've been playing House Flipper, and that game objectively should suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it.
The graphics aren't even the greatest.
The graphics aren't great. The gameplay is kind of fiddly and weird.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't even bring anything new or spectacular, particularly to the table.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
It's something you can kind of just turn your brain off and do.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's like, oh, well, I'm having a good time just making this house look nice. And the controls are only mildly frustrating.
Right.
The same thing with Car Mechanic Simulator.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like, oh, this kind of sucks. But I really like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the grab is with those sorts of games. Thief Simulator's another one.
A lot of it comes down to the gameplay, right? You can take like a game that's just like low quality, a little bit buggy, but if the gameplay can keep you just kind of like, oh, this is fun. There's a progression here. There's a goal. It'll stick you with it. Like
I
in
guess,
House Flipper,
yeah.
you're trying to like up, you're trying to get a shit ton of money and flip houses. Car Mechanic Simulator, you're just like trying to get to the next car, the best car,
Power washing simulator is
Same
another
shit,
one.
yeah. You're just like clicking, you're just watching stuff get clean. It's like this instant gratification kind of thing.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. The reward system is very like, it's very quick, I guess. So it's like you're constantly getting little rewards.
Yeah.
And then you get little
motivated.
rewards, and then get a really big reward at the end.
Yeah.
Is as the same thing with House Flippers. Like throughout if you do a house of your own, throughout it's like you get a good little victory. You pick up all the trash, and then like you have the buyers of the house in the corner saying like, yeah, I like
Good job. I
I
like
like
the way
a
it
clean house, or you clean all the dirt, and it's like, yeah, or it's like a little victory here and there. And then you get a massive profit at the end.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that makes sense. It hits the dopamine.
Yeah.
Enough.
Well, it's like Gas Station Simulator. That game, on paper, stupid. People who are like, I work at gas stations, I hate it. That game is like, you run your own gas station. You got to buy gas. You got to make sure you have gas to put in people's cars. You got to pump the gas for them. But you're just kind of like running around, sweeping up trash and serving customers and getting stuff off the shelf and making money and just trying to upgrade to the next thing. And it's just all about that like next goal and the
It's so crazy how like menial labor like that is so much more fun when it's a video game.
Yeah. When it's not forced to live.
Yeah. Like I imagine in the means of like Car Mechanic Simulator, there are people who quite enjoy being mechanics. I'm not saying it's something that's joyless, but still,
it's a difficult job.
It's a hard job to do, and it's something that's very much like so much more interesting, compelling, and fun when it's like, oh, I'm just doing this because I want to. It's like just a video game.
You mean I can click a button and the 700-pound motor's out of the car?
Yeah.
Cool. I don't need a cherry picker to be like...
It lifts up and then dissipates into the air.
It is literally what happens.
Yeah.
But that whole genre of like low fidelity games where they're not like particularly high quality, they're not innovative in the gameplay, and it's nothing like on paper with all of the assets taken into consideration, it should be trash, but it's pretty good.
Right. Yeah. You know what game's kind of in that genre that's just super fun? I never got to beat because I always struggle with it. I always got like stuck. And it just made me think this is probably going to be another fucking Steam Deck game. Jalopy. You ever play that game?
I was going to buy
familiar.
it. I haven't maybe I have it. I don't know.
I forget what the plot is. Like, I forget why you're doing what you're doing.
But
in
you're
the
supposed
game.
to keep the car running, right?
Yeah, you pretty much just spawn in a garage, and it's like, hey man, pick up that door and those tires, put it on the car. Okay, it's on the car. Let's go for a drive. And you have to like find gas stations, get gas. Make sure you always have gas. Make sure you always have like a spare battery in case it fails. You gotta make sure like you have an extra tire, and you're just like driving around these different cities. I think you're trying to cross the border is what it is. And you're just like keeping this piece of shit jalopy car running.
I think
it's so fun.
I think I either have that or was going to buy that, like it's on my wish list or something. I'll have to look because it sounds like something that's the same vein, and it's very interesting. The Long Drive is another game like that, where it's literally you're in this wasteland with a road that goes in a straight line infinitely, and you have different vehicles that you end up finding at different markers on the road. and you get like different parts and like different things for like food and water, and like you can get different mods for the car, and you can paint the car and clean the car and put different parts in the car to make it go faster or slower, run better on gas, and you need gas, and then or you have this car that can hold this much cargo.
Yeah.
I guess it is management. That's like something about something about your monkey brain wants to manage like multiple things.
It's just micromanaging. People like to do that. You have to just pick and choose and make decisions, and it just keeps you stimulated at the end of the day. You're just kind of thinking the whole time.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, rather than, driving you forward with like some grandiose, like amazing plot that, sucks you in.
Mm-hmm. It's all about the kickback and relax thing too. Like a lot of times when your brain's not fully at its peak, like I want to do something complex right now, you'll be more inclined to just be like, yeah, I just kind of want to just like sit here.
And there are games in that genre that also kind of miss the mark. I would say My Summer Car kind of misses that mark, because it's like,
you think so?
Yeah, it's like fine, but it's like also, I think it's a bit too fiddly and a bit too complex to be a game like that, where it's like, I want to turn off my brain and do this, and then it's unclear how to advance in certain ways. So I guess there is like a trade-off sort of situation where it's like, this can be a certain level of complex, but it also has to, it can't be so complex that you have to think about it in depth. It has to be something you can put on like a podcast and then listen to a podcast while you play this stupid game.
Kind of like SnowRunner in a way, where it's like, it's very complex, but it's also simple. Like the mechanics are fairly streamlined.
SnowRunner is a similar game. It's just that there's
much
more
higher quality.
It's more complex in the systems that are in the game. So like, the cargo system, there's a lot of different ways to attack certain things, and there's usually 2 or 3 paths to any given destination.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a bit more complex, but it is the same idea. It's very much a turn your brain off kind of game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the games that I have the most time in, is the turn your brain off games.
Right. Well, to be fair, I found myself doing that when I was replaying Red Dead, where I was like, I don't want to play something complex. And Red Dead's a complex game, but because I had already beaten it, I wasn't super like, I need to fucking find everything. I just want to kind of ride a horse, shoot some people, do some fucking dive off a cliff and see some funny physics.
Yeah.
Like, or have John step in a puddle and it goes dead, and he fucking just drops dead. Oh, I did miss that. It doesn't do the sound like Red Dead 2. So Red Dead 2, that's like the wasted thing, like it does in GTA, where you get sniped, it goes black and white, and it flickers, and then it goes or whatever. Red Dead just, you die, it zooms out, and it goes and it just says dead.
But with Red Dead 2, it's it's like, it feels like you actually die as the player when you die in the game. Dying in that game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I've explained this exact thing before, is like, you can in GTA get shot point blank with a rocket launcher and you're like, huh. And then in Red Dead you get punched in the head and die, and you're like,
oh, my head hurts.
Oh man, that fucking felt like something actually happened.
Yeah, GTA, it's like you dive off a motorcycle, you fucking bounce 85 yards, you hit a tree, you spiral around the tree, you run, you fucking launch off, get run over by a fucking 18-wheeler, and then get shot with a sniper rifle, and you're like, huh. Funny.
Yeah.
Red Dead, you like fall off your horse, you're like, ooh.
Ooh, man, that looked like that really hurt.
Doesn't help that Arthur's just like a big oaf, so he's like, ooh. He's like,
or
bouncing.
sometimes your horse just veers off directly into another person. You crash head on into them,
and then they get up and start shooting you. You're like, bro.
I had that, but the guy got up. I killed his horse on impact. My horse was fine. And I think it was Buell. So I was like, you tried to kill Buell. And the guy was like walking away from me, and I said, hey buddy, come back here. And I just like, he was trying to run away from me, and then at that point he started fully sprinting, and I shot him a bunch of times. No one fucking hurts Buell.
Bitch.
Okay? I always keep the horse revivers on me because I got to revive Buell. And then, when you beat the game as Arthur, Buell gets turned into glue, but that's beside the point. Either within, at the last mission your horse dies, which is what I did with my most recent playthrough, is I used Buell on the last mission so he dies, like canonically, but all your horses before that, that you have as Arthur, you don't have access to them anymore. So I'm assuming they just get turned into glue. They get sent to a glue factory.
I don't know if I told you this. When I do my Red Dead 2 playthrough, I kind of wanted to do like a hardcore run. So I wanted to do a run where I do no fast travel. I camp out at night.
No fast travel in that game is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I don't fast travel. I camp out at night. I eat regularly, right? And the other part of it was I was going to play it with no horse survivor. If I fall off a cliff and the horse dies and I survive, that's it. It's done. So I think I want to do a hardcore run.
Dies, you can just bring it back to life?
With the horse survivor.
Yeah.
But the mechanic kind of inclined you to just be like, yeah, just let die, because then you don't have that same horse. So it's not like Red Dead 1 where it's like, oh no, my horse died. You whistle 10 seconds later and the same one shows up. No, like you build a bond. So if you're maxed out on your horse, like this thing's fast as fuck, infinite stamina, and then it dies, that's it. You got to go get a new horse. Like you have to buy one or find one.
Yeah.
So you can't just be like, oh, I need a whistle for a backup horse. Nope. That's it. So I think I'm gonna do a hardcore run where I just do that. I don't use horse
I think
visor.
that'd be kind of fun. But it's one of those games that's like I played it and very, very rarely fast traveled because the map is so beautiful.
Yeah. And no healing. I didn't want to heal unless I sleep. That was the other part. I don't want to take food to heal.
I mean that would kind of suck. But the only time I would fast travel would be like, oh, I'm going from,
Santa Anita, like Valentine.
I'm going to like fucking Tumbleweed to like the fucking Indian reservation.
Yeah.
So that's like opposite corners of the map.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking Blackwater all the way up to the other corner. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. I was thinking about doing that to like a hardcore play. I think that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Be pretty cool.
So some low fidelity games, check them out. They look like shit and they look like something you wouldn't want to buy, but usually they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually they're fairly good.
Case in point,
the mechanics back them up.
House Flipper has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's even like those what is that game called? Miami Heat. What's that like really cool top down shoot 'em up?
Are you talking about Hotline Miami?
Hotline Miami. That game is like a kind of you look at it, what the fuck is this? But everyone loves that game. Like the mechanics are just so good.
Well, yeah,
kick open doors.
That's an extremely difficult game. So like, it's a different classification, but it's like, same idea as like if you saw it out of context without like showing off the certain mechanics, you'd be like, oh,
very strange story too.
And then you show off the mechanics, like, oh, this guy kicked open a door and he's got two machine guns and he's shooting through all this glass and he kills 14 guys at once, and then a guy comes around the corner, gets punched to death. Like that shit's awesome.
Yeah, I love watching people get punched to death.
Yeah.
Like in real life?
Yes.
That's actually gonna be the camping trip.
I keep hurting my shoulder, dude.
Nice job.
I wonder why my shoulder hurts.
I pulled a fucking muscle in my shoulder on Memorial Day weekend or whatever, and this shit hurted. That's why I couldn't rip that foam yesterday, by the way. Genuinely, when I was pulling the foam right here, feels like the muscle's gonna tear for some reason.
Jesus.
You need to put yourself like in a cast or something.
I probably should, honestly. I should probably do something, but it hurts bad.
We can duct tape it to your body.
Just like this. I'm like, hey guys, hello and welcome.
There you go.
Just cut it off.
Wrap it around my neck too, so I'm just like this the whole time for some fucking reason. All right, we done?
Yeah.
We're about to go get some barbecue.
Sure.
I'm hungry as fuck.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
So, as always, we should do like an eating episode. You ever think about that? That'd be a disaster.
We do a mukbang.
That's disgusting, and I'm not doing
No,
that.
not a mukbang. I don't want to do mukbang.
The whole video would.
Even just an eating.
No, you don't want to eat fucking pulled pork on the podcast.
Sorry, audience. I'm sorry I had to do that.
I might have to mute that if I get a little too excited.
Just bleep that.
Yeah.
I'm like a horse over there. But as always, find us Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, and of course Pocket Cast, my app of choice. There's also the RSS feed linked below. Also YouTube.com. Both YouTube and Spotify have a video platform, which I highly recommend you at least have open. And then when we do some video stuff, you look at it. And as always, contact us, YouTube comment sections, or via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me, and Instagram and TikTok, comments, questions, concerns, and death threats. And as always, come back next Wednesday, motherfucker.
Yeah, fuck you.
That was aggressive.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Goodbye.
Oh, my shoulder hurts.